Review of the Chiefs. Start off with Chiefs won 27-20. Really good close game. Came down to the wire. So we'll start with the Ravens stats. So pass wise, Mara had a good game. He had 26 completions on 41 attempts. He had 273 yards, one touchdown, no picks. He did lose a fumble though to the Chiefs, so he did do that. He had a good game. It's just he had a chance to win it because he missed a wide open Zay Flowers on the second to last play of the game. Missed him. And then second play it was super close. Like last play was really close to Likely. Likely almost caught. Like if Likely had like a couple inches smaller feet, probably would have been a touchdown. Much Ravens were going for the win. It looked like because Harbaugh said he was on. They looked like he was on go for two before they reviewed it and said it was no touchdown. Jackson's only touchdown of the game was to Likely. It's a long pass to Likely. Like, well, it wasn't like super long, but like he likely went for a big run after, and then yeah, he imitated Jackson's highlight high school jukes to get there. Yeah, and rushing wise, Lamar also led them in rushing. He had 16 carries for 122 yards, 7.6 yards a carry. He is now third all time in NFL history for rushing yards by quarterback, only behind Mike Vick and Cam Newton. He passed Russell Wilson. So see if Russ does decent rushing and passes him. So yeah, then also Derrick Henry, their big running back sign-in this offseason from Titans. He had 13 carries, 46 yards, 3.5 touchdowns. He did have the first touchdown in the NFL season, rushing it. So he did do that. He didn't do great, but it's also like the offensive line didn't do great. Which is so yeah. And then they also say Flowers. So he got 2 carries for 14 yards, which is obviously 7 yards a carry. For some are sweeps. And he also just Hill again 1 carry for 3 yards. Hill was mostly out there just for receiving wise because Henry isn't the greatest receiving back. And Hill wasn't much out there for running game wise. So now receiving wise, you got their leading receiver, Isaiah Likely, 9 catches, 111 yards, 12.3 yards a catch, and 1 touchdown. He had a really good game. Like he had a really good last week against the season once Andrews went down. Looks like you might be able to keep that up. See how he does. Because this, yeah, and like he like this, the 2 plays before the final game play, he went down like an injury. It looked like it hurt, and he came back out to try to help him win, and it almost worked. Didn't work, obviously, but it was close. He had a really good game though. Then he also behind him, you have Rashad Bateman. He had 2 catches for 53 yards. He averaged 26.5 yards a catch. He had a decent game. Like Lamar tried to hook up with him on some long balls. It just didn't work. So yeah, we still had a good game. And then behind him, you got your backup running back, Justice Hill. He had 6 catches for 52 yards, 8.7 yards a catch. So yeah, he had a good game receiving wise. It's just Henry's really still good back. It's just Henry does not give you a ton receiving wise. So that's why it's nice to have a good receiving back in Hill behind him. And then behind him, you got Zay Flowers. He had 6 catches for 37 yards, 6.2 yards a catch. Like he had like some other decent sized catches that just got called back because they had some penalties because like Ronnie Stanley, their left tackle, got 5-year penalty a few times because of legal formation because he wasn't like lined up correctly with the center, something like that. So yeah, and Stanley got called up for that a lot. Doesn't sound like he's very happy about it. Then behind him, you have Mark Andrews. He had 2 catches for 14 yards, 7 yards a catch. I think he only had like 2 targets. I know he didn't have many. I think he didn't have many more than 2. So it's not like he had a lot of targets. So he just wasn't to hell him in. He just didn't have many at all. And like, then their second, I think it was their second to last drive. He had a catch on that third down that he didn't get that led him to kick a field goal instead. Like, if he, like, it seems like that's him. Like for him, he usually got to get that, but it seems like he kind of tripped on something. I don't know. But he's really out there for blocking. I don't know. Maybe there was something more going on with that car crash he suffered a few weeks ago than they let out. Because it's like he was barely out there receiving wise. He's more of a blocker, and Likely is more of the receiving back tight end. No offense to Likely, but Andrews should be the better receiving tight end than Likely. And I also had Nelson Aguilar. He got one catch for 6 yards. He's just all right. He's their third wideout, so yeah. And Henry had 0 total. He had no receiving totals, so yeah. Let's go to their defense. Roquan Smith, they get the one pick of the game from Patrick Mahomes. Roquan had a good game. So yeah, he had 4 total he had 4 tackles, 3 assisted. Marcus Williams had a good game. He had some big stops. Trenton Simpson, they get half of a sack. He did decent, like considering it's his second year, his first career game start. He looked all right. David Ojabo did have a really crucial sack to force a 4th down, to force the Chiefs punt. Matabuke got it, half a sack. It doesn't list here, but he did change his name to Agape or something like that. So he does have a different first name, same last name. So yeah, doesn't have it there, but he does. Benoit, he did miss part of the 4th quarter because of an eye injury, and from a play, it was also evaluated for a concussion. He ended up, but that wasn't the reason he was out. They listed it being out an eye injury. Still did decent. So yeah, see Daffy White, he had a decent game. So yeah, yeah. There was no kick returns. Bucker kicked them all out of the end zone or into the end zone, so there was no opportunities for touchbacks for the Ravens. So yeah, it's that's literally what the NFL is trying to avoid. That's literally why they changed the rules. Didn't work against Bucker. We'll see. Obviously, it's just one game, so you can't base everything off of one game because more as the season goes on, things can change. Punt returning wise, he had Deontay Hardy. He had 1 return for 3 yards. He's also out there for kick returning most of the time. So yeah, he's really just he is a former, I think, All-Pro returner with the Saints a few years ago. So he's a good returner. And kicking wise, Justin Tucker, he was 2 for 3 yards. He had a long of 32. He didn't miss one. So I think it's a surprise there because Tucker, he just isn't the guy who missed many kicks, but he did. He still did make 2 of his 3. So yeah, bunting wise, he had Jordan Stout. He had 2 punts, 75 yards. He was 37.5 yards of return, and he only had 2 punts, and those 2 punts were both in the 20. So he had a good game punting wise. So yeah. Now let's go to the Chiefs stats. Passing wise, Patrick Mahomes, he had a good game. He had 20 completions and 28 attempts, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. They did have a pick, but he still had a good game. Obviously helped the Chiefs win. So yeah. And then rushing wise, Isaiah Pacheco led the way. He had 15 carries for 45 yards, 3 yards a carry, average wise, and 1 touchdown. So yeah, he did get a touchdown. It was right against the goal line, and it looked like he got stopped. They usually could have blown the whistle, but then he had some extra push last second, and he got in the end zone. So he didn't get any yards, but he did get a touchdown. Then behind him, you have Xavier Worthy, their first round rookie. He had 1 carry, 21 yards, and that 1 carry was touchdown. On that carry, he just blew out of the gate. He was super fast. Once he got the full speed, it was good luck catching them, Ravens. And they didn't that one. Then he also had Carson Steele. He had 2 carries for 3 yards, 1.5 yards a carry. He's Hal just kept on saying whenever he was out there, he's a fan favorite. Everybody loves him. He's a rookie. So yeah. Patrick Mahomes, he had 2 carries for 3 yards. So he didn't do much rushing wise, but he doesn't usually do a ton. Sometimes he gets decent sized rushes, but he doesn't always. So yeah. Now let's go to receiving game. Their top receiver was Rashee Rice. He had 7 receptions, 103 yards, and 14.7 yards a catch. So he had a good game. He didn't have any touchdowns. But yeah, each team had 1 receiver, and the rest of them, receiving wise, didn't do the greatest. They still did have a 100-yard receiving game from each team. So Rashard Rice, he looked good as a rookie. He looked good last night. We'll see how his legal situation ends up. That might not happen until next year, so we'll see. And then Xavier Worthy had 2 catches for 47 yards, 23.5 yards a catch, and he got their other touch. He got that one touchdown from Mahomes. Looked like global in coverage. Humphrey looked like he was supposed to be covering him, but it kind of looked like he assumed he had safety help over top. But then I don't know if that was just coverage mishap, whether it was on Humphrey or was a safety, because he might have supposed to have been, but the safety might have got the wrong, miscommunicated, or it might have been on Humphrey. Hard to know sometimes. But either way, it sucks that happened. But it does happen sometimes early on the season. Then leader tight end wise, no bit surprised. It wasn't Kelsey. It was Noah Gray. He just recently got an extension. So yeah, he had 3 catches, 37 yards, 12.3 yards a catch. So he had a good game. Just a little bit surprised that he, even if it was just 3 more yards, still him having around the same amount of totals as Travis Kelsey. Big Ray had a good game. And Travis Kelsey had 3 catches, 34 yards, 11.3 yards a catch. He had a right game. He was a decent blocker, but he didn't do a lot. Then also behind him receiving wise, he had Isaiah Pacheco. He had 2 catches, 33 yards, 16.5 yards a catch. I think it was sometime in the first half, like he was open, like Mahomes, like near the red zone. Mahomes threw it to him. It just went right through his hands. Probably wouldn't have gotten the touchdown because Humphrey was about to destroy him with a big hit, probably. But still would have been a big yardage. They were forced only field goal. So yeah, we had a relatively good game. Then he also had Justin Watson. He had 1 catch for 25 yards. Watson, he's just one of those guys that always doesn't play a ton for the Chiefs, but when he does, it seems like he always gets at least a catch or two. So he did there. Then he also has Samaje Perine. He had 1 catch for 10 yards. He had a decent game, considering he's been on the roster for like a little over a week now. He did good because he probably doesn't know the playbook a ton yet. So maybe next week he'll know the playback more and be a little better. Then Patrick Mahomes, he had 1 catch for 2 yards. It wasn't like a trick play or anything. On their last drive, he like their third down before they ended up punting to the Ravens. He tried getting rid of it just to see if they could get the first down. Got bad down by one of the Ravens players. I can't remember who, and he ended up catching it and then getting a few more yards, which was good because he by doing that, because if it was a complete incomplete pass, it would stop the clock, give the Ravens more time, and who knows. But by catching it, kept the clock running, took some more time off the clock. Yeah, so Juju Smith-Schuster, he did nothing. He did have at least 1 target. He almost had a touchdown. Looked like he was about to, but then he dropped it last second. So yeah. And defense-wise, then Chris Jones had a sack. He did good. No surprise there. So let's see. So yeah, Chiefs only had 1 sack, but like also you could tell the Ravens did not have a lot of trust in their offensive line because they kept on chipping with like Andrews or Likely at the last drive. You can kind of tell Ravens didn't have a huge trust in their young defensive line. They had 3 new starters. Right tackle was new, starter Mikari. They had 2 new starting guards. So yeah, so you can kind of tell there. Both teams have. So yeah, then even the Chiefs, they have 1 new starter, and the guy at BYU would tackle, 2nd-round pick. For a rookie 2nd-round tackle, he did good. He didn't do great, but he didn't do terrible either. So yeah, he did a decent game. I'm assuming Rice had tackle on the pick because he's listed here. Because I don't know why else he would be listed on defense. Right? That's really the only thing I can think of. But yeah, so the only 1 sack. Nobody had a pick. Chris Jones did force the fumble. So yeah, they had a good game. Like they didn't allow too many rushing yards to a running back. They gave up 100 to Lamar, but Lamar always seems to have good rushing games. Even when he doesn't get 100 yards rushing, he always seems to get close when he plays the whole game. So yeah, the defense did good. Henry did barely anything outside of Likely. The receiving wise, they didn't really. The receivers didn't do much, which was good considering They still have Trent McDuffie as a good corner, but they got rid of Darius Sneed, so they had Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams being their two new starting corners opposite McDuffie. So yeah, McDuffie was good. Linebacker group did good. Reed had some big tackles. So yeah. And then kick return wise, Cole Hardman, he had one return for 29 yards. Carson Steele also had one return for 28 yards. So they did get a couple returns versus Ravens had 0. So they got some big yards. But like with the new kickoff rule, it's where if it's just in the landing zone and it doesn't land in the end zone, you have to return it. So yeah, that's why you're supposed to be seeing a lot more returns this year. It's like look at this last Super Bowl. There was no returns in the Super Bowl. So yeah. And kicking wise, Harrison Butker, he was pretty good. He was 2 for 2 field goal wise. 100, he'd say 100, I would say 100 percentage field goal wise. Then 30, long at 32, he also made 3 extra points. He made all his extra points. So he had a good game. No surprise there. He's one of the top kickers. And punting wise, Matt Araiza, I think this was his debut because he got drafted in the 4th round by Bills, but then the whole legal situation that he didn't get officially charged or anything. But the Bills released him before he played a game. So first debut, he did good. He had 3 punts for 144 yards, 48, yards a punt, 1 in the 20. So he had a good game. Everybody knew. I think he was the punter in his draft class that was called the punting god. It's just there's a few punters drafted in that draft class of his. Say he is the punt god. He did come out of behind saying it a state. So yeah, his early nickname is because he's known for being a really good punter. So yeah. The Ravens. Then let's go to team stats. Ravens did lead the league total yardage wise. The Chiefs did have more passing yards, but the Ravens had over 100 more rushing yards. But also helped that Lamar's a huge rushing quarterback versus Mahomes. He's still good rushing. He can run and be fine when you need him to, but he doesn't do it a ton. Chiefs did win yards per play. They had 1 more yard to play. Chiefs at 7.1, Ravens at 6.1. Ravens won your first downs. They had 4 more first downs. Ravens at 25, Chiefs at 21. So then third down efficiency was around the same percentage wise. Ravens were 50%. They were 7 for 14. Chiefs were 4 for 9. I'm sorry, I do not know that percentage. I'm not that good at percentage wise. But yeah, they were a little worse than the Ravens there. The Ravens did go for 2 fourth downs. They get 1. They didn't get another. Chiefs didn't go for any 4th downs. Ravens had a lot more plays. Ravens had 74 total plays. Chiefs had 50. So yeah, there's barely any sacks. Ravens had 1 total, and the Chiefs had 2. Oh wait, no, sorry. The Chiefs allowed 2. The Ravens had allowed 1. Sorry about that. So yeah, then I don't really talk punt wise. Penalty yards. The Ravens had 7 penalties for 64 yards. The Chiefs had 6 penalties for 45 yards. But there's 1 penalty they missed. Like near the end of the first half, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, he went up like there was something. I don't know if he didn't like the formation or something like that. He ran up to ref on the sideline to call a timeout. There was a rule against that. You can't call timeouts as assistant coach. Only players on the field, like the quarterback Mahomes or the head coach Andy Reid, can. But they didn't get a penalty when he should have. Like they literally talked about that a few seconds later on the broadcast. Like he can't do that. So, but they allowed it. It looked like they went to him talk to them about later, but still, it should have been a penalty or something like this against the rules. Then the Ravens, they had 1 fumble loss. Chiefs have threw 1 pick. I already talked about that a little bit. Ravens did lead time of possession. Ravens had 33.43 time of possession. Chiefs had 26 minutes and 17 seconds possession wise. They're close. Most of these stats are pretty close. Like the only thing that wasn't super close was good rushing yards because the Ravens had 100 total more. Other than that, it's all pretty close. Well, the Ravens also had the 100, almost 99 total more total yards, but still, that's pretty close. Yeah, it was a really good game. It's like we'll see how Andrews does next week. Because like if the same thing happens on next week where he's more of like extension of their left tackle and he barely gets any targets or catches receiving wise, you gotta think there's an injury or something they aren't telling us about. Because like that just seems odd to have your best. He should be your best weapon. Because like Zay Flowers is a good wideout, but he's not a top tight end like Andrews is. Likely he's unproven when he is the number one, when he has to be the number one. He's only had a few good games. So it's like you have to think if something else is going on that we don't know about. So yeah, let's see there. Any big news? So So yeah, this is what I was calling about the legal information penalties versus the Chiefs. He felt that the referee crew was aiming to make an example of him on those penalties. It's the announcers like when they first called that play, it sounded like they were saying like the league made that something that they wanted to make a main target this season. So every year they kind of have a new thing. For the first week or for weeks they call out penalties on a certain thing. Then every team eventually figures out how to work against it and how not to do it, and then they're usually fine. The first couple of weeks they usually struggle a little bit, especially when it's their first game. It's their first game of the season, so it's like you can't go off. Okay, what does it look like these refs are trying to focus on, so we can try to avoid it. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a good one.